Why does this child mummy appear to open and close her eyes? In the catacombs of Sicily, there's a creepy mummy of a 2-year-old girl who appears to open and close her eyes on a regular basis. Here's how an Italian anthropologist solved the mystery of this little sleeping beauty. Hint: she's not actually undead. Rosalia Lombardo, December 13, 1918, December 6, 1920, was an Italian baby girl who died of pneumonia as a result of the Spanish flu. Her father, Officer Mario Lombardo, was deeply saddened by the death of his daughter, so he sought to meet Alfredo Salafia, a famous embalmer, to take over the task of preserving the girl's body. Her body, sometimes referred to as Sleeping Beauty, was one of the last to be brought into the Catacomba dei Cappuccini crypt of a convent in Palermo, Sicily. Rosalia Lombardo was the daughter of a military officer, Mario Lombardo, 1890–1980, and Maria di Cara, 1897–1966. She was born on December 13, 1918 and died on December 6, 1920, just a week before her second birthday. According to post-mortem reports, she died of bronchopneumonia. The temporary body was taken to Palermo's Capuchin catacombs on December 8, 1920, which remains today. The Lombardos decided to find Professor Alfredo Salafia, 1869–1933, to preserve their daughter's body before burial. Sir Salafia taught himself to be a stuffed animal and embalmer, responsible for embalming many of Palermo's famous citizens from 1902 on. The procedure he devised is characterized by simplicity, consisting of a single-point injection, preferably into the femoral artery through a gravity injector. Other procedures commonly used in modern embalming, such as draining the blood, handling cavities, or injecting fillers, are thought to be unnecessary in most cases. Since Salafia developed the preservative compound in the early 1900s, it has been suggested that his perfect solution was one of the earliest formaldehyde-based formulations in the transition from the compound old into a modernized compound, a process that eventually leads to heavy metal replacement. In addition, Salafia's memoirs also reveal the frequent use of paraffin wax diluted in ether, which was injected into the face of the deceased to keep the facial features plump and lifelike. Rosalia Lombardo's body is still placed in the original coffin with a glass top. Beneath the glass the face is visible, and the rested body was covered with a towel. The girl's face showed a remarkable state of preservation. Her appearance remained the same as when she was alive and sleeping. However, over the past few years, signs of oxidation and decay have become more apparent. Specifically, her hair and the accompanying hair bow have become lighter, while her face is darker and shrunken. A review of longitudinal X-ray (AP) images of the Mummy 7, conducted in July 2008, revealed that not only the head, but the entire body was maintained intact. In addition, some preserved organs are clearly visible on radiographs. In December 2010, experts had the opportunity to study Rosalia's body using multi-computed tomography (CT). This technique, considered the gold standard in mummification studies, has been used to further investigate the embalming process used, to analyze the level of preservation in detail, to identify any changes possible to the body since preparation, and provides a permanent record of the mummy's performance. Analysis of CT tests revealed indirect indicators for endovascular therapy reported in the history of Rosalia's body. The mediastinal vessels, parts of the abdominal and pelvic vessels, and portions of the vessels in the periphery of the lower extremities are enlarged and distended. Furthermore, the veins from the base of the skull to the right chambers of the heart, all of the cardiac chambers, and the vessels fill and drain, forming a continuum of central hypertrophy, mainly surrounded by air. Experts hypothesize that the injected fluid widened the vessels at the time of embalming and subsequently led to the fixation of the vessel walls to an enlarged state. Over time, the liquid appears to have dissolved or evaporated. The visible hypertensive central structures are most likely residual blood. Hygroscopicity, and possibly reaction with the preservative liquid, may have resulted in high densities. Empirically, the formation of blood clots after death is strongly related to the length of the painful period. In patients with a prolonged time before loss, as assumed in the case of Rosalia during the treatment of the infectious disease reported, it is predicted to be due to protracted coagulopathy mainly in the venous system. Pulse after death. The fact that Salavia usually does not use blood drainage before endovascular injection reinforces the assumption that intravascular coagulation is preserved within Rosalia's vascular system. Based on the chemical formulation of Salavia's preservatives, the traces of endogenous hypertension on CT scans are not really as expected, because the atomic number of the components is quite low. In contrast, traces of endogenous embalming fluid have been detected in X-rays of other mummies in the catacombs. These individuals are injected with solutions containing high atomic numbers of heavy metals, such as mercury. In addition, experts could not find clear evidence of applying paraffin on the face, although it seems likely that this method was used, as evidenced by Rosalia's face preserved. How perfect? As for the bottle next to Rosalia's head, which could be used as a vial of disinfectant inside a sealed coffin, which could act as an additional method of external preservation. Salavia apparently mummified Rosalia before pancreatic self-digestion occurred and, according to his manuscript, he aimed to begin the embalming procedure within the first 24 hours of death. The very good quality of pancreas preservation proves that Salavia embalmed Rosalia shortly after her death. Because after death, the tissues of a human body undergo changes that can even lead to the formation of a remains, if the body is not embalmed or exposed to conditions that would permit preservation. After autolysis, the second stage of the decay of the untreated dead body will have features such as a change in the active substance, which begins when bacteria from the intestines proliferate and begin to colonize the tissues. During this process, the abdomen may become distended by gas, abdominal bloating. Rosalia's body was disposed of before autolysis took place, so the cause of the mummy's distended abdomen related to the decomposition process was ruled out. Overall, the remarkable organ preservation in Rosalia's body is the result of an extremely efficient procedure using embalming fluid, in which the intracranial and thoracic structures are presumably treated intravascularly only. Endovascularly, while internal organs are treated intravascularly and externally, through the treatment of cavities. Therefore, the components of the embalming fluid were effective in preventing early decay and preventing further decomposition, allowing excellent preservation of the body to this day. From CT images alone, it is not possible to know the true consistency of the mummified organs. There is limited information available regarding the preservation of the organs of a body embalmed by Salavia, 6 months after the process. Autopsies revealed that all tissues were hard and dry, even the internal organs were well preserved and no smell of decay was detected. Thanks to the techniques of preserving the body of the embalmer Salavia, the body is well preserved. X-rays of the body show that all organs are intact. Rosalia's body is placed in a glass-covered coffin, placed on a wooden pedestal in a small chapel. Visitors can take a tour of the catacombs. National Geographic photograph of Rosalia Lombardo shows the mummy beginning to show signs of decay, most notably discoloration. To solve these problems, the mummy was moved to a drier place in the crypt, and her original coffin was placed in a sealed glass chamber filled with nitrogen gas to prevent damage. The mummy remains one of the catacombs' best preserved remains. That same year, Capuchin crypt curator Dario Piombino Muscali discovered a handwritten manuscript written by Salavia in which he listed the ingredients used to embalm Rosalia. The embalming formula is described as 1 part glycerin, 1 part formalin saturated with zinc sulfate and zinc chloride, and 1 part of an alcohol solution saturated with salicylic acid and administered through a single-point injection, most likely into the femoral artery via a gravity injector. Rosellevarency of Discovery News reported that the drug is used to kill bacteria, glycerin is used to prevent desiccation, and salicylic acid is used to get rid of any fungus in meat. The purpose of zinc salt is to prevent the body from petrifying. The mummy became even more famous for a phenomenon in which her eyes appeared to open and close several times a day, revealing her intact blue pupils. In response to speculation about Rosalia's moving eyelids, Piombino Muscali stated that it is an optical illusion created by light passing through the side windows, which during the day can change. Eyes, little girl, is not completely closed, and indeed her eyes are never closed.